food is about everything. To me, it's my life. As a child, everybody came up in the kitchen, really, particularly in the African-American community. Your mama's in the kitchen, you in the kitchen. But I didn't pay that any attention when I was coming up. I didn't like the kitchen. I didn't stay there. I did what they call housework. You know, you go in, you make the beds, you dust, you mop, you scrub the floor, do that kind of thing. And my sister was always the one in the pots. I never liked the pots. That's what shocked my whole family and everything. They couldn't believe I had come to the kitchen. But when I went to work in the French quarters, and I worked as a waitress, I love to wait tables. I just think it's just great to wait tables, to serve people. Then you get to go in the kitchen, you see what's happening in the kitchen, and I just thought that was just a wonderful thing. It made me want a restaurant of my own, want to cook for myself. But then I didn't have anybody in it. I was fortunate enough, or lucky enough, to marry a man whose mother had, you know, back then you didn't have restaurants like you have today. And in the black community, you had nothing but little sandwich shops because everybody cooked at home. Nobody ate out. Well, it was segregation. There was nowhere for you to eat. When I started out years ago, would you believe, in this city, we only had about 3 or 4 black doctors. So you see, blacks were not in profession. They cooked, they sewed, and the men were carpenters or bricklayers or iron workers, that kind of thing, you know. Nobody was in the restaurant business but my mother-in-law, who started making sandwiches, so that I had to start there. That was fun. So when I got in that restaurant, I said, here's my chance. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Think, you know, you're young and stupid. You think, oh, and this is what I thought. No difference in people but the color of their skin. Why we can't cook this shrimp Newburgh in this restaurant? And I didn't realize that, no, it's different cultures. You have different tastes. It's more than different colors of your skin. That I had to go back to what I knew. I had to go back to like oyster dressing and stuffing that chicken breast with oyster dressing and making the shrimp Creole, what we call that shrimp stew. And in New Orleans, it was a whole different thing for me because I didn't have the fresh vegetables that I came up with. My daddy grew the greens, we grew the okra, we do things. But you had other things. Melitol people's vines. Everybody's backyard in the 7th Ward had a Melitol vine. And they had another thing, the gourd, and we called it a Chinese okra. And you could take that gourd and slice it and fry it. So you learn different things and how to prepare different foods. And now, you can run the gamut. Now it's fun. Now it's really fun because you get a mixture of everything. I came up eating a lot of pork. What we raised those pigs for was for the Lord. You know, if you got a hog up to 300 pounds, then you could get 100 pounds of lard off of that 300 pounds. Here I learned about coffee. To coffee something is to prepare it in its own juices. Well, we've been coffeeing this pork in this lard all this time. We coffeeing the pork, we put it in the lard, that's how we keep it. We didn't have a freezer, and when you wanted that pork chop, you went in that lard and got the pork chop out. Coming up as a child was depression. I was born in 1923, depression hit 1929, so it was hard times. People had nothing, but my daddy used to grow things. He would farm, and his big thing, I don't know why Daddy liked to grow onions so much. Onions, we had onions all over the place. We could give the whole little town onions. That's how many onions we had. And we were so poor sometimes in the evening, all we had for our dinner really was a pot of grits and what we call smothered onions, just grits and onions. We ate that. We were never hungry. We didn't have fancy food. Then I grew up, and now the smothered onions, my dear, are caramelized onions today. Got all fancy. I said, I've been eating this when I was poor. What is this caramelized onion? So you go, then we grew strawberries. That was our big thing in Madisonville, was to grow strawberries. We had, 20 acres, 15, 20 acres. Now you got to get up in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, dew all over the place, cold. You got to get up there and pick those strawberries. That is not a fun job, to look at 20 acres and know you got to get it all up out of there before the sun gets too hot. So, and then you hear the quails, the bobwhite quails. I can remember those quails, When they up in the trees, they whistling that bobwhite. But when they come on the ground, it's another tune. They whistle another tune. So, when they come on the ground, you get to picking your strawberries, you're going to get that shotgun. And Dad's going to kill those quails. So you have quails. You pick the quails, bring them home, and Mother would saute them. And the one thing about the government back then, you got commodities from WPA workers, got commodities, but they never gave you margarine. They gave you good butter. So I came up with good butter. I'm a butter person. Mother put those little quails in that butter, and in our backyard we had plum trees, just a plain little red plum, and the trees Mother would make jelly with them. So here we had the quail, glaze them with the jelly, have that with grits. Now that's how I served that to President Bush. He said, Leah, I never had grits and quail before, but I like it. I said, well, I came up on grits and quail. But it's just fun to see what you can do with food, how you can bring it together, how you can get different cultures to come in and work with their food and mix it up with yours. The chefs of today have to really concentrate on for one thing, do not go in that kitchen with money on your mind. And I tell that to people looking for any job. Don't go in there money on your mind. Go in there doing what you love to do and do it well. If you do what you love to do, I don't care if it's digging ditches. If you think you can dig that ditch perfect, do it well. The money will come. When I was coming up, I was looked on as nothing. I couldn't even fit in high society community because I was just a cook. But now chefs, they get notoriety, they get fame for their work. But you have to do it well, and you have to present it well. I don't care if you cook a pot of greens, put it on that plate and make it look good. And that's important. It is so important. And it's, to do this, you make so many people happy. And if you can make people happy, that's a wonderful thing. That's just a great thing.